Hello guys, welcome back to another video. Today I will be sharing my painting process of a fairy tale castle. I will be using a mix of time-lapse from Procreate because my phone stopped working midway, and I will be using footage that I've shot myself that will be slowed down. But because this took me quite a while to illustrate or paint in Procreate, I will be speeding it up ever so slightly in the most places. So let me know in the comments actually if you preferred slowed down or sped up, because I'm never too sure what mixture I should use in my videos. Because the time-lapse has already begun, let me recap what we have done so far. So I've laid out a sketch and a grid, a very basic grid to orientate myself when sketching. I've completed the basic composition, the sky, I've got a rendering, very basic rendering of the trees done, and the main back mid-tone for the castle. But right now I'm working on the grass, which will be subject to change quite a lot. In this painting, I'm using all the regular Procreate brushes, aside from the rectangular brush again that I have already presented many times in my previous videos, but that is literally a square with a hollow middle section, so it's nothing special. For grass, what I've learned so far is to try and kind of put some texture in with the colors that are already there and shadows, but I was not very happy with what I've done in the foreground, so that will change again. But what I'm doing in the background now on the hill is sketching out the grasses in a motion to show that the wind is sweeping them up, and you can see that especially in the lighter ones. It's not single lines, but it is longer elongated horizontal lines. I want to show in the background that there's a lot of forest there, not 3 different trees but a lot of different ones. So I'm using different colors of shading, of green shades, and just trying to get some shapes and composition things in there. Using the old brush, I am trying to feather them out a bit to give them texture, and then adding some darker colors to show the depth of it. This is one of the only times you'll see the clouds, and I'm so happy with them, so I'm so appreciative of them, because just using the old brush on Procreate is really doing wonders for my clouds now, so I'm really happy with that. Now back to adding some more colors and changing the shading in the tree leaves. I will be switching to a different style of filming now. As you'll see, the lighting will change quite a few times because there was a lot of sunshine today, which I'm super grateful for. It's been really rainy the last few weeks, but it does add a bit of a yellow tint to everything. So I think one of the positives of changing my filming method, maybe using the time lapses as well, is that you can actually see what colors Procreate sees when I add the time lapse in between, so that, you know, there is a bit of a reality check in there for colors. But yeah, I'll show you a proper video at the end as well, when, you know, how the colors come out on camera. I did get asked if I could do less time-lapse last time, I believe, so that's why I'm adding quite a bit of footage of real time, so you can definitely just see what I'm doing. And if you are not painting to this, sit back and relax. Okay, I feel like at this point I'm ready to start shading the castle, because it's just sitting there like a big blob, and I would love to have it a bit more defined to see what other colors I'm adding into the environment. So I'm still practicing this. I'm no expert by any means on architecture or any sort of painting of architecture, but I have been doing a few of them now, so I've kind of figured out a bit of a way for me to, or a method for me to shade and color them. I usually begin by choosing a different darker grey shade. This one is a green one on top of a turquoise dark grey shade or blue grey shade, and just sketching in all the different shade. I have had my sketch earlier where I've already defined the outlay, so I'm just going to follow that. I have listened to other concept artists talk about architecture and castles and how they paint them, and they don't really want to use line art because it takes up a lot of time and it's just a lot cleaner without, and I can agree, but I still use it to like do the sketch, for example, or to orientate myself. A lot of people don't, and I so admire that. Hopefully one day I'll be there too, but for now I am just trying to gently ease myself along without line art. The idea is to add shading and highlights where the light will come, and to add color where the light reflects off the walls, so that the three-dimensionality kind of comes out. And I, achieve it sometimes I don't. It is very much still trial and error for me, but I guess that is the best way to learn, to be honest, in my case anyways. If you look at this now, I think, or you would be watching me illustrate this or paint this, I'm sure that you wouldn't be thinking like, wow, this is amazing. And I think one of the biggest lessons that I've shared here on YouTube in a short, and also on Instagram in a reel, for me has been that I need to complete paintings regardless of how I feel about them, so that I can realize my own potential with this painting. Because a lot of the times, for the first 6 hours of painting, it looks not great. It looks very amateur and just very basic. Everything's missing. But in the last 2 hours I usually make up for it big time, and I surprise myself. Like with the last short that I've uploaded of the mountain painting, that was something where I didn't expect to get there at all, but I'm so happy I did continue. And with this as well, I am not great at castles in my personal opinion. I still have not much of an idea of what I'm doing, but finishing them and doing them is what I'm banking on. Hopefully that will teach me something. I've purposefully left this part of the castle in real time because I just wanted to share. Well, I've sped it up a little bit, but not majorly because it did take forever. But I did want to show every part of the process here. So I hope that this is valuable to you guys. If it is and you'd love to see more real time, do let me know because I will use that in my next video. In retrospect, at this part I should have been using a drawing grid from Procreate because I was just guesstimating all the lines and proportions, and I did spend a lot of time later on cleaning them up. So that's not necessary, guys. Do it now. Use the drawing grid. Okay, I'm going to switch back into a different type of footage, into time-lapse, because now this section is all the lighting and the color adding, and I do take a long time for this, and I did not want to make you sit there, watch this for 2 hours. I'm pretty sure nobody would do that, so here we go. If it looks like nothing is happening, then the changes are really small. It might be good to enlarge your screen where you're watching it, but also you might have to turn your brightness up for this, because as you can see, the Procreate colors are a bit different to the videoing of the camera. I think this is where you can see how bad the proportions have become. I will definitely clean it up, and I'm pretty sure this is on time-lapse too, so... When it comes to colors, I'm trying to add a lot of red and yellow and green tones into there, which are kind of in the grayer area of the color palette because of the distance. I feel like the red colors really match with the trees very well, and then we've got like purples and blues for the shade, which are like the furthest away trees, so that kind of works well. I'm trying to orientate myself a little bit at the landscape, and then my main goal here is going to be adding light with the overlay and the add layer blending mode on Procreate, because I find it easiest to create light that way. Okay, so switching back to the regular video taking mode, I am going to do the, well, I'm not quite sure what it's called in English, but the big brown thing in the back, which is like a garden or something with a big roof, a round oval roof. I'm sure you know what I mean, but I want to add a lot of different colors and make it look a bit translucent like glass, but at the same time not really. More like an opal or opaque kind of color scheme. Here I'm just now creating a bit of a shape to it, the outer fixings that are holding the whole thing together, and I will make them glow a little bit. Now to my favorite objective, which is painting greenery. I will be draping it across the castle like I did in my last big fairy tale painting like this, and I think people responded to it quite well, so as you can see, the castle colors are all there now. I've smudged them out so they work well together, but what I will do is I will add some texture in the form of like brick wall shading and some more highlighting points where you can see the reflection of the elements within the wall. If you are into castles and fairy tale palaces and whatnot, architecture or ruins even, and you have got any tips for me, please let me know in the comments or on Instagram. I'm always grateful for it. I think last week someone said in the comments about the add layer and the overlay layer in Procreate, and I really appreciated that because I did look into it before, but not too far back, so it was quite recent knowledge, and if I hadn't looked into that, then it would have been great to hear that. So if you guys have any feedback for me, please let me know. But simultaneously, if you enjoyed this, what I'm doing now, and you want to see more of this kind of style of painting, then also feel free to share, because the feedback does help a lot. Here I made the mistake to paint the brick layer wall onto the same layer as something else, so I was just lassoing with them with the lasso tool and then copy and pasting them, so that basically creates a new layer on which I then adjusted the light or darkness rather of it. Right now I am doing that so that the walls appear a bit darker, the shading that I've done, and you can see it better. I think the grass in the foreground and the lighting for the castle, palace, whatever you want to call it, I think those two things are what I struggled most with in the whole painting. It took me the most time to try and figure out what kind of lighting would suit this, and yeah, so you'll see that change continuously until the end. Switching back to time-lapse, here you can see me trying the first type of lighting really. I'm using overlay and an add layer with orange and yellow tones to go over the painting, and it does look quite nice, but I'm not quite sure, something was annoying me. I was trying to add light within the castle as well, within the palace, but that didn't really work because I didn't paint the castle in different layers, but just on a single one. Here I will first be adjusting the leaves and the trees in the foreground, and then I will switch to grass in the foreground, which will take a while, and it looks like nothing is happening, but if you know where the things are happening, then you'll see it. For the foreground, I did in the end do a lot of highlighting, in the sense of a lot of detail painting with different shades of green, and actually that looked a lot better than the patchiness I had in the beginning, or that I still have right now, because I add so much detail and there's just detail everywhere in the grass. It doesn't look like it's out of place anymore. I think my favorite part to paint was actually the garden thing, the round thing in the back, because it actually turned out exactly how I wanted to, how I had imagined it. I used a texture brush in Procreate, and I basically just colored it generally in this darker opaque shading and then added a really bright turquoise on top, which kind of just made it pop a bit compared to or against the orange of the golden railings that come down. And I decided that I wanted to add that to the front of the palace as well, in all the rooftops, because I did really enjoy seeing how it came to life, and that is what I'm going to work on now. Because the colors are so weird now with the lighting and how my camera is taking them in, I've decided to add the time-lapse of the last bit, which is faster but also just shows all the lighting, the highlights, and in Procreate style basically, not in my camera's idea. Even here the light is quite extreme, so when I show it at the end with my camera just taking a video, it does look a bit better. But I did also desaturate the light a little bit, or rather I put down the opacity of it. Okay, we're nearing the end of the video now. Thank you so much for watching, and if you have made it this far, thank you so much for your support. It means the world to me. It really does. Seeing how Instagram has been popping off basically, and YouTube is also going a bit faster than I thought it would. It does feel like I'm coming closer to getting to the destination which I'm heading towards, which is working as a full-time artist. I am putting the same amount of work in, I believe, that I would if I was making money out of it, so hopefully it will pay off one day. But the main aim is for you guys to enjoy this, so let me know what you think. Any feedback is super welcome, and yeah, consider liking, subscribing, and sharing this video if you've made it this far. Thank you again, and have a lovely evening or day or week, depending wherever you are.